In the last video, we put in our HTML for a table, and now we're going to style our table. So one of the first things I'm going to style is the table header. This helps you control the size of how wide your tables are, and these I'm going to do as inline styles, mainly because tables are always going to be different just about every time you apply a style, so it almost becomes, it actually may make it harder for you to do tables if you dictated what the widths of columns were. So we're going to do this right here inline, and there's a thing called scope. That's the property we're going to do, and we're giving it a scope of a column, and then we're going to give it a width, and we're going to say 30% for this first column. All right. So by doing that, it's probably going to automatically make this one 70% since you only have two columns. But just to make sure, let's do this again for the next column. And we'll add a width of 70%. And it doesn't change anything, but we've just now make sure we got the math adding up together. Now the next part we got is, you can see that by default it's added cell padding, it's added spacing, border. So we're gonna get rid of all of this. We really don't need it. First thing we're gonna get rid of is width. Now by default, tables may be 100% width, maybe not. In this case it looks like it got a little bit narrower. But let's go ahead and write our table styles on our style sheet. So I'm now on the style sheet. I'm going to scroll down a ways, probably after all of my content, but before there's button styles, custom styles. So I'll put these in right before my custom styles. So I'm going to copy and paste this comment code and change this to table styles. So the first table style that I'm going to write is going to be for the width of the table itself. So we will put in table, and we will tell it width of 100%. Hit save, come back, and you can see that put it back to 100%. All right. So next, the next thing we can do is create padding and borders. And so let's go ahead and add that. Let's go back to our source code. And I'm going to take out cell padding. And I'm going to take out border. For now, I'm going to hold on to cell spacing. You can see that everything's now pretty tight without any padding. So let's go back and add that. Go back to our styles. And the next thing I'm going to add is I'm going to style the TD, the table cells themselves, and the rows and the table headers, just to make sure I get them all. And the first thing I'm going to do is add a border. I'm going to do the short code for this. So there's 3px, that means it's a 3 pixel wide border. I'm going to do solid, and for now I'm going to just do something dark so I can see it. So there's the 3 pixel wide border. I'm going to change that here in a little bit after I do something else, but you'll see how we can come back and change all of that. Next thing we're going to do is add the padding. So we can do padding, and if we want padding all the way around, we're going to do 1 of padding. So remember, an M equals 16 pixels in our case, since that's the size of our fonts. If we ever increased our default font size, it would change our padding with it. And maybe you like that, maybe you don't. If you want something that's more concrete, if you want to just put in 15 pixels of padding, you could do that. But every once in a while, it's good to show how the M's work again. All right, so let's go ahead and hit save on that, refresh, and now we've got our padding. Now another thing that you're noticing is that it has a vertical alignment center as a default, and I'm going to prefer to keep that up at the top. So I have an option to add a vertical align, and I want everything to be at the top. So now the first lines should all match up. And that's just my preference. I kind of like the first lines of both the left and right to be even. If you wanted to, let's see, what else could we change here? If you want to make sure that it's left aligned as well. Now by default, I think on most browsers anymore, it will be, but some of the older browsers like Internet Explorer 8 might try to center. So you may want to make sure that your, not your vertical, I meant text align. Typed the wrong thing there, sorry. So text align. I won't change anything here, but just to make sure that that stays like that. You know, if you wanted to change the font sizes, you could do that as well. So let's change font size. And maybe we want a little bit bigger font. Let's try 20 pixels. And it just makes everything a little bit bigger. I mean, you could really change a lot of things. You could change the font color. You could really change a lot. All right, let's do a little bit more styling here. And this time I'm gonna stylize just the table header. So I'm gonna add TH. I want to give this a background color that's not white. And we're going to use B4, it's a dark medium gray. And then that gives our header a certain color. And actually I might even want that a little, let's go a little bit darker. That's not going to be dark enough. Let's go all A's. That's not dark enough. All 6s. Let's go 666. All right, that looks a little bit better. And then since that color right here is a little hard to read because of low contrast, let's change the color back to white. All right, that looks a little bit better. And then let's go next to style our table rows. And we'll give it a background color. And background color. And we'll go FA, FA, FA. It's pretty light gray. Alright, you can barely tell that it's a lighter gray, but it is. Now I'm going to do another pseudonym. Well, actually, so we don't like this, maybe we don't like this black border color anymore. Let's go back and change that to be white, which should match the background of the color of our things. And so, since we're in design mode here, it doesn't really show much, so let's go take a look at what this looks like. There we go, that looks a little bit better. So you can see the dark gray, you can see a very faint light gray. We have the other characters in the world of Philo. So this is just how it's sort of looking so far, and I gave it this white border in between. Could you do that with spacing? You could. It's just, I just want to be able to show you how to be able to change borders as well. So you can change the thickness and colors of borders. So if maybe you like this dark gray and you want it to all match that instead of the white. So if you had this background color in your table header of 666, maybe that border color also becomes that gray. So now when we go look at it, all the grays sort of go together. The only problem is, you don't see a line between name and description, and that might be all right. The visual eye might be able to make the difference between that. I'm going to go switch it back to white. You can have it whatever you like. And that's what it looks like with white spacing in between. Now, I can also do a thing where I can have an alternate color changed in the back. So we're going to do, let's say you wanted these rows to alternate their background, because if they're all the same color, sometimes they may be kind of hard to read. So we're going to create a table row pseudo, and we're going to go nth child, and we're going to choose even. You could choose odd as well. So what this means is every even color will get a different background color. And on this one, we'll go EF, 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 which is even a lighter gray. Maybe too light of a gray. Let's maybe just go, let's see, EE, let's go D's, so it's a little bit darker. And let's see here, did I do this right? Let's save that, and we'll go back to our thing. I got something wrong here. Let's change this to odd. And I've got something, wonder what I'm, background color, TD, TR, nth child. This should have changed the color quite a bit. Maybe it's just not enough difference. Yeah, we'll maybe come back to this one and figure out how to change the background color on the nth child. This should be getting this to work so that it, I'm just wondering what I'm missing here. Because we have a background color of FAAA, we have a table header, and our table row, nth child, odd, should be changing the background color to a different, wonder if it matters if it's 6 colors or not. No. Well, anyway, you could play around with this, but this is the code for adding an nth child, and then I'll maybe fix that and see what happens here. But that's how we stylize our table column. And if you want to go back to, let's hit save. Did I hit save? Yeah, everything's saved. I'm sorry that this isn't displaying properly right now, but it should alternate the colors of your table. Oh, there it goes. I'm not sure why it wasn't showing it in preview mode, and that's now too dark. Let's go back to DDD. So we were doing it right, just wasn't showing up. There we go. So now you would get alternating colors. So if I had another column here, which I could do, let's go ahead and do that just to show you how that works. Go back to the source code. I'll add another table row. And in this table row, I'll have my 2 cells. And there are ways to use, if you go up here to your insert library, there are ways to add things for your table as well, but I'm going to go ahead and just do it longhand. So let's say I had another one. Let's see, we had Plato, Emperor Disgustus, and then we had Plato. We'll do Socrates. hope I spelled that right. And Socrates is Philo's cat. Completely worthless and always complains. All right, so we'll go ahead and hit save on that. Brings it in there, and in split view, maybe if we switch this to live view, we'd see this. Yeah, so that might be better. Up here, you have the option to go to live view. It should pull in your web fonts and display it a little bit better than just plain design view. But when you're in live view, you can't use, the edit window doesn't work quite the same. So I usually like to go back to design view so I can see where everything is at. So it shows the cells. So now that I got that saved, you'll notice that it automatically will make every other row that color using that style. All right. So there you go. That's how we style our tables, and that's really about all there is to the table. Oh, if there's one more thing I can style, and that'd be the caption. So I'll come down here, and we'll just do the caption. Now if I want, now caption is something you might use elsewhere. So if you style this, it'll be in all captions. So to style captions only in a table, we'll denote that we'll have the selector after a selector. So in this case, we can change other things about our caption, and we might want to change the size. So let's go to, let's just change the color for now, and we'll pick something like 999. And then we'll go back and see what that, and this is the caption right here. So you can see it just made it a lighter color. And there's other things you could style with that if you want. If you remember text transform, we can go uppercase. So even though in the text we wrote it in lowercase, it'll make it all uppercase. And whether that actually looks or works any better, but that was something we did with the navigation as well. So I'm just trying to get you in the habit of playing around with these styles and finding different places to apply them. And there you go. There's your table, and it's all styled up and working.